Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you, and welcome to the very first faculty seminar of the winter semester 2022 of the Avani lecture and workshop series entitled Building Voices, Building Alliances. The Avani lecture series and workshop committee, Building Voices, Building Alliances, curators and conveners team comprise of architect Afifa Nuzat, wellness coordinator Jilna, Dr. Soumini Raja, architect Devakumar Tencheri, Ujjain Bhattacharya and myself, who as a team attempt to generate discourse over important concerns of the built and unbuilt environment. In its third year, the series explores the inquiries that originated in the Avni Annual Research Symposium 2021, acknowledging the tumultuous and uncertain period that we are living in. The current academic year at Avni 2021-2022 is oriented towards the theme of ecologies of adaptations, and all academic practices, including studio inquiries, are structured around this very theme. We are further positioning our academic inquiries within the symposium sub-themes: reconnection, re-narrating histories for the Foundation Studio, living and working realities of domesticity for semester 3 and semester 4, magnitude of inequities and bracing for uncertainties for semester 5 and 6, collaborations for resilient future for semester 7 and 8, and finally, vulnerable ecosystems and resilience for semester 9. As the conveners of the program, we ask, what does ecological awareness offer to the architectural pedagogy? What does altering domestic realities offer to the built environment discourse, design discourse? How do uncertainties intensify the already widening social inequities? How does resilience play a role in offering a new opportunity to vulnerable ecosystems? And how do we define resilient future? Is there a need to re-narrate our past and build reconnections? I'd now like to invite Chilna to read out the inclusion and accessibility statement.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Building Voices, Building Alliances inclusion statement will be read out in Malayalam. അവനി പ്രഭാഷണ ശില്പശാല പരമ്പര അതിൻ്റെ നടത്തിപ്പിൽ ലിംഗസമത്വത്തിലും വിവേചനങ്ങൾക്ക് അതീതമായ സാമൂഹ്യ വിശ്വാസ്യതയിലും ഊന്നൽ നൽകുന്നതിൽ പ്രതിജ്ഞാബദ്ധമാണ്. നമ്മുടെ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ മേഖലയിൽ പ്രാതിനിധ്യം ലഭിക്കാത്തവരും പുറത്താക്കപ്പെട്ടവരും ഈ പരമ്പരയുടെ ഭാഗമാവുക എന്നത് ഞങ്ങളുടെ മൗലികമായ ലക്ഷ്യമാണ്. വ്യക്തിവിശേഷങ്ങളും സാംസ്കാരിക വൈവിധ്യവും അംഗീകരിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് തന്നെ എല്ലാവരെയും ചേർത്ത് പിടിക്കാവുന്ന, എല്ലാവർക്കും പ്രാപ്യമായ ഒരു കൂട്ടായ്മയ്ക്ക് രൂപം കൊടുക്കാനുള്ള ശ്രമമാണ് ഞങ്ങളുടേത്. ഈ പരമ്പരയിലെ പ്രഭാഷണങ്ങൾ മലയാളം, ഹിന്ദി, ഇംഗ്ലീഷ് തുടങ്ങിയ ഭാഷകളിൽ ഒറ്റയ്ക്കോ സംയുക്തമായോ ആയിരിക്കും നടക്കുന്നത്. കൂടാതെ അവ ഇന്ത്യൻ ആംഗ്യഭാഷയിലേക്ക് തർജ്ജമ ചെയ്യാനുള്ള പരിശ്രമത്തിലുമാണ്. ഒരു പുതിയ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസ സ്ഥാപനം എന്ന നിലക്ക് ന്യൂനപക്ഷ വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെയും അധ്യാപകരെയും പ്രവർത്തകരെയും ഉൾക്കൊള്ളിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് സമദർശിയായ ധാർമ്മികത്വമുള്ള ഒരു പഠനാന്തരീക്ഷം കെട്ടിപ്പടുക്കുന്നതിനായി സമാന തത്പരായ തദ്ദേശ സംഘടനകളുമായി ഞങ്ങൾ സമ്പർക്കത്തിലാണ്. അതോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ ഞങ്ങളുടെ സ്ഥാപനത്തിന്റെ അടിസ്ഥാന സൗകര്യങ്ങൾ അടക്കം എല്ലാവിധ സാങ്കേതിക വിഭവങ്ങളും പൊതുസമൂഹത്തിന് കൂടി ഉപയോഗപ്രദമാക്കുക എന്നതും ഞങ്ങളുടെ പ്രധാന ലക്ഷ്യമാണ്. അനുസ്യൂതം നടക്കുന്ന ഈ പ്രവൃത്തിയിൽ ക്ഷമയോടെ ഞങ്ങൾക്കൊപ്പം നിൽക്കുന്നതിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ നന്ദി അറിയിക്കുന്നതോടൊപ്പം വിലപ്പെട്ട നിർദ്ദേശങ്ങൾ യാതൊരു മടിയും കൂടാതെ ഞങ്ങൾ അറിയിക്കാൻ താല്പര്യപ്പെടുന്നു. Thank you. Now welcome architect Devakumar for speaker introduction.
Good evening, all. My duty is to introduce Soumini, our head of the institute, Dr. Soumini Raja. So we don't need an introduction to Soumini. Still, I would like to say two words about her. When I was in CET, she was my senior, and I knew that, oh, Soumini is, yeah, she is my senior. She is from Tripundra, and she knows something about Kathakali. But for the last 15 years, she built a tremendous career in academics and related she did many other activities. And she brings to the table deep interest in understanding the complex human-nature relationship and their process of co-evaluation, especially in the coastal region. She is a founding partner at Studio Commune, a collaborative design studio in Trivandrum that engages in meaningful conversation between architectural practice, urban research, and social activities. She is alumnus of CET and completed masters in urban and regional planning from CEPT University Ahmedabad, and her doctoral research addressed socio-spatial investigation of human vulnerabilities to disasters in coastal areas, a case of Chilanam. And I think I don't need to make it more formal. Uh, thank you all for joining us. Now I invite Dr. Soumini.
Thank you, Dev Kumar, for that very generous introduction. Hello, everyone. Good evening. As always, can't see many students on screen, but it's good to see so many of you are here, although many of you are transitioning back to campus. Without much delay, I'll start with my presentation. Jilna, if you could please check whether my screen is visible. And just in case I get disconnected because I have internet issues here, please let me know. And I'll also keep my video off during the presentation so that there is no much issue interfering. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can, yeah.
All right. Okay. So, first of all, I just want to thank few people before I start this presentation, especially the Avani Student Council, because it was in one of the recent discussions that we had with the Student Council led by Fasil and Michelle, that they asked if faculty could come forward and present some of their work so that it encourages and engages students in rigorous academics. So thank you, Council, for that. And two, to very dear Hannah Patros of 2020 batch for capturing the idea of Studio Commune in a very short while and putting it together as a very interesting illustration, which I will cherish for a very long time. She's agreed that she would hand it over to me at some point when she's back on campus. So thank you so much for this. So today I will be discussing with you few initiatives that I've been part of, and I've been part of Studio Commune for since 2016. And whatever work that I'm going to present here, I must say have been a contribution of so many different people whom I have come into conversation with, my team has come into conversation with, and they've all become part of Commune in one way or the other. So no presentation on Commune can start without paying respect to all those who were part of Commune, who continue to be part of Commune, and probably who would be part of Commune in the future. So apart from all those architectural projects, today I'm going to very specifically discuss about the architect's agency to city and how it is important for us architects to engage with the city, not just as built environment experts, but primarily as human beings and our rights and others' rights to the city. So today's presentation, you will not see many architectural drawings. You will not see the buildings done by Studio Commune, but this is a collection of different conversations that we have had with different people, and to us, people represent the city. So just to give you a very quick introduction to this one wants to call it a movement, one can, but this engagement, what we call as Commune. So it's a journey. So everything that we are doing does not have an end product yet, nor do we think that we will have an end product at some point. We enjoy the journey, and this journey started when two human beings and a dog came together. We met and we sort of decided to spend quite some time together, and we continue to live together. So it is co-founded by my partner architect Vishnu, my son and dog Apuchi, and myself, and it is an attempt at traversing, most often straddling the liminal thresholds of what is built and what is unbuilt. And we strongly believe that being an architect does not necessarily mean to create buildings, but even to raise a question as part of your journey is worth an attempt. So when three of us came together, we had several interests and we came from different backgrounds. And so there were some common areas that we loved speaking about, having conversation about. And City of Trivandrum was the platform for us to meet and engage in conversation. So our conversations moved from plants to animals, to different communities, to understanding issues of water, human body, several things. And one thing that was common to us was architecture. So when all of these different strands came together or continued to engage in a kind of an entangled process, that is where Studio Commune was formed. We have two parts to this, that's why it's written differently. One is a hardcore architectural practice called the Studio Commune, and the other one is a social research wing, which we understand as Commune. So Commune is about camaraderie, it is about community, compassion, cohabitation. These are the core values that we uphold, and everybody we engage with as part of our journey, as part of Commune. So I will present you 2 or 3 conversations, and because it's a conversation, I usually adopt a storytelling method. I can go on and on and on. So if you're getting bored, you can stop me. Jilna, you could stop me whenever you want in the middle of conversation or beyond that, completely okay with that. So the first conversation that I want to talk about today is the TRV lab. So as I mentioned before, we all met in the city called Trivandrum, which is in the southernmost tip of India, and a beautiful city where everybody has their own pace. You can choose your pace. You want to be fast, you can be fast. And I know some of you students are also from that beautiful city. So we thought, so our initial engagement with the city was to start this lab. And there were many programs we sort of included as part of this lab. And there were many initiatives that came in as part of the lab. So one of them was the city walk. And usually when you look at a city and city walk, you will see that most of these walks encourage people to engage with built environment, especially heritage built environment. But for us, the city meant people, and the different people who were part of the city who probably were not visible. And we wanted to have conversation with these people who were invisible in the mainstream, and also who play an important role in building the city. So many such walks were there, and these were once in a month walks. So we used to visit the public toilets of Trivandrum to understand the life of people who maintain these toilets. We used to conduct walks which would look at all those street food vendors. And our office is also located in it continues to be located in a place called Vayudakkad, which was kind of a food heart of Trivandrum. We also did several walks along rivers and continuing to understand river and the urban commons of Trivandrum. So these were our initial exposure to the city of Trivandrum. And then once we started identifying and meeting people and understanding their issues, we wanted to represent them or probably present it to the other set of people for whom these communities were invisible. So this representation came in the form of posters, it came in the form of newspaper articles that we wrote about the city, it came in the form of performance, because theater is very close to our heart, and human body and stage relationships are something that we continue to explore on. And this particular image that you see here was performed in the street, one of the streets in Trivandrum, and this play was called Mutra, and it basically looked at urine as an important element of urban fabric, especially in a place like Kerala. And we were trying to understand the different perspectives of people on urine, urinating in public toilets, people who are working there. And to a large extent, this was an impromptu performance because we were just two of us performing it. Initial trigger script was there, but then as the people came around, as the people started watching this, there were more of conversations happening. So every act that we did as part of this evolved from the conversations we had, and especially there was a couple of props that we left, yellow urinals that we left on the street or the performing area, which were then documented over a period of time as to how people engaged with that prop when it is left like that. And there was some very interesting observation of how children looked at the urinal, how parents responded to them holding the urinal, how people would just throw money into the urinals. There are cases where we documented actually people coming and using the urinal. So there were different ways in which we were trying to engage with the city. And so, as I said, and this did not stop with one or two medium of exploration, but we continued to write about what was going on around us. But that was also the time there were heavy monsoons, and the first conversation is about the relationship that we shared with Kalachechi. So Kalachechi used to come to our office to clean our office, and for during the monsoon, it was 2018, that Kalachechi did not turn up in the office for a couple of days, and we were not able to reach out to her. But later we figured out that, and we went in search of her actually, and that's when we figured out that her house was flooded. And she is from a family of Tamil migrants who have migrated to Trivandrum for since very long time. And she lives in a place called Kottu Villagam, which is right by the banks of Kili River. Kili River, there is still a question of whether it is actually a river or not, but there are records which says that it is a river, so I will use the term river. So, we were really worried about her well-being, and she only had a house which was right next door, and her family was traditionally engaged as dhobis. So they would collect cloth from nearby places, come wash the cloth in the Kili River, and then iron them and drop it back in these small restaurants or hotels and all that. But unfortunately, what has happened is, you can see the color of the water here. Kili River lost its connection with the community. So a river that had a historical significance was systematically being forgotten as a river. And this whole idea of tactile or the tactile energy that it contained, from being part of the community, it was being degenerated. So what I would say is, here is a river that was stripped of its identity as an urban common. And there were many communal memories of this water body or this river, because people would bathe there, people would wash their cattle there, people would use this water to wash their clothes, cook. So we sort of met some of these people who come from different generations, who lived in Kotuvulaga or migrated to Kotuvulaga and who engaged with the water for a very long time in different ways. And Kalachechi's mother remembered very clearly about how the edges were constructed by the municipal corporation and how their entire connection to the river was strained. So post the flood, this is, you can see in the image how all the dirt from the city of Trivandrum was locked onto the trees that were adjoining the water body, and you can see her house and the distance between the water body and the house. This is not unique to Trivandrum or to Kili River. We can see this everywhere across Kerala. And that's exactly the reason why we wanted to study what's going on here. So I'll just play this. Can you still hear me? Hello?
Yes, Soumini, we can.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You can see the yeah. So this is taken on that day. I don't think you can hear the sound. You can see the proximity there. And the way, how thickly packed this place is. Very high density population, but not all of them engaged in daily wage work in some kind of a blue collar job. So, so we started studying about this community, and then we thought it is not really enough that we sort of study about this community. So we started what is called a backyard card resource, which was a research initiative where we had a researcher being part of this research. We documented the entire stretch of Kili River and identified the communities that are on its edge, the kind of settlement pattern, what is the cross section of the river, how the day engage in everyday activities, and we found certain problematic conditions. And this problematic condition was that there is an institutional mechanism to the way in which it was being polluted, because there were municipal channels which were opening into this river, and which brought with it all the dirt that came from hospitals to hotels to all kinds of commercial activities which were far away from this place. So we wanted to take this up, and taking this up is not that easy because we're talking about a very sensitive issue. We're talking about a sensitive community. So that was also the time when the Municipal Corporation of Trivandrum was working with what is called a clean the Kiliyar project. So there was something called Kiliyar Mission that was initiated, and that was initiated under the leadership of Advocate V.K. Prashant, who was a mayor, a very, very smart mayor, who is now an MLA from Baturka constituency, a very brilliant person who had his easy way with the people around, and he was initiating what is called a Kiliyar Mission. So we thought it is important for us to go show it to him and tell him that here is a study and these are the findings that we have, and we need to clean this up. But it's not just about cleaning up, right? So we also found that this particular Kiliyar, this river, which otherwise is 14 kilometers within the city, extends all the way to Nedumangad, which shares boundary with Trivandrum Corporation, still within Trivandrum district. So it originates from Nedumangad. And so one of the studios that I did, the urban design studios, while I was teaching at College of Architecture Trivandrum, was on Nedumangad. So we had data from Nedumangad, and we saw that the kind of relationship that we see between people in Nedumangad and Kili of that area wasn't that kind of a strong relationship as we see in the Trivandrum city side. So we also found that the Trivandrum, the district had started this cleaning up mission, especially in Nedumangar, under Harida Kerala mission, and they had started to clean up the upstream area. But we were talking about the downstream area, and we really wanted to know how we can go about it. It's stuck. Yeah. So on multiple conversations that we had with the Trivandrum Corporation, they asked us to, they acknowledged everything that was going on, but they also asked us to partner with them to clean up Killiyar, and this was called the Killiyar River Cleanup Project. So we were asked to map, or not asked, we initiated this discussion on mapping the resources along Killi, and how do we understand the socio-economic characteristics of the area that was abutting the river, because that was really important for us to engage with the river at an urban scale. And we also wanted to map the communities and also coordinate people, because if people did not take this up as their own, if we did not mobilize the people to own this project, the river will never be clean. So we wanted to bring in people, coordinating agencies to clean this, and also to develop some sustainable strategy to maintain the river bank or to convert the river back into a front yard of a city. So through several conversations, we sort of identified the edge conditions of the river, divided them into several blocks. We also came in touch with a software company called Travansoft, who helped us and the corporation to develop a Android app, which is called Pureya River app, through which about 750 users we were able to identify and map them using the GPS-based mapping technology. We were able to also map where were the solid waste dumping, where are the sidewalls, stormwater drains, etc., etc. But this cannot happen. 750 is a huge number, and this cannot happen with just 2 architects going around. So we had to mobilize people, and so with the help of the corporation, parent-teacher associations were contacted, headmasters, yogam of the schools were done. There were schools, anganwadis, libraries, pensioners. There were a lot of people, even the residents association, they were the best because they could mobilize people like anything. And there were instances where during the cleanup, every house would sponsor a lunch for the volunteer and the packets were distributed to them. So over a month, we were able to have different levels of meetings, including ward level meetings, and then there would be Pradeshika meetings, and then they would report it to the ward, and it went so on and so forth. So I won't go into the details of it, but this is the app, and we were able to map all of this, put together the idea, analyze the entertainment. One of the key findings was that most of the people, a huge share of population, were BPL families, or below poverty line families. And many of them did not have sufficient land to even hold a septic tank. So and that's why their toilet drainage was opened into the Kili River. And one way to control pollution was, apart from the larger institutional mechanism, it was to offer a septic tank to the people there. Because most of them had 1 cent of land or 1.5 cents of land. So based on all this analysis, we then divided the area into small segments, and there were route maps worked out for cleaning projects. So I won't get into how all of this were done, but every 50-meter radius was sort of mapped here, and the volunteers could just go pick it up or clean it up. And this was organized on a massive scale in Trivandrum. So there were residents associations who came forward, as I said, with food and with labor force. There were people who offered, what do you call, the chatti and all those equipment and boots and all of that. So this went on. Even we went there and we also started cleaning. It was very difficult for some of us to even enter into that water, but it happened, and it was very. I mean, I don't know whether it's a sad event or not, but while we were doing all of this, we constantly asked Municipal Corporation of Trivandrum, where are you going to dump this? Now that you have all of this, we are cleaning it up. Where will we go dump all of this? Do we have some resources? So they said, yes, we will do something, we will do something. But even on the last day, we did not know what to do with it. Now, the killie was cleaned, but this was taken a little later, and the pollution continued because that particular activity was considered as an event. People did not own up the idea of the river, but the people owned up the idea of event, and that exactly what which went wrong with that entire strategy. So I'm telling you some of the faults here so that, when you engage with something of this sort, you know how to go about it. The corporation did not shut down its drainage. People were not given, sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yes, Soumini.
Yeah, there was some disturbance here. The people continued to throw waste here because there was no infrastructure to collect that waste. People did not get their septic tanks as was promised, and it was really not a sustainable plan that we prepared. But more interestingly for us, we started getting calls from the coastal area where we also had different projects running, and they called up and said, look at these people who are doing cleaning up of Kili. All the waste is now traveled to the coast, and now we have to collect that waste. Now we had to participate in that cleaning process also. But we are talking about the same city with a river and a seafront, and there is absolutely no coordination between these two. And I think that is where communes fail to bring these two communities together. So it was difficult for us because those who have been to the coast of Trivandrum knows this reality of how the coast has constantly been eroded, not because of climate change, not because of anything else, but human intervention. And this is the reality of Anjadinga, which is slightly to the north. But if you go to the south, north of Villingham, this is what you will see because of the port activity that is happening. We were also doing work to regenerate the coral reefs that were destroyed by the Villingham project at that time, and also trying to bring in a radio station for the Coastal Student Cultural Forum, and also to have certain tactical interventions there. The point I'm trying to draw here is that our practice is that of an ecology of ideas. And sometimes they are conflicting, sometimes they come together, but it is not a single engagement, but it is an engagement with different communities in different ways, trying to bring them all together. Now, I hope I have some time left, so I'll just take you to another part of Kili. So I spoke to you about Koto Vilaga, but this part of Kili is called the Chala area. Chala is a market. It has been a traditional market for a very long time. And I'm going to talk to you about this particular project again that we were part of, which was, there's a school called Chala Government High School, which has its origins dating back to 1966, and it's a huge 5 acres of land. And this is a very, very important school because of different activities that happen there. And it is a campus for Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. It has a lower primary school, it has an Anganwadi, it has all the student police cadet office. All of this happens in this particular school, and it has a very significant land, which is a green lung of the city. So this is that particular land and the kind of activities that happen. And so we were introduced to this land during one of the tree walks. So one of your senior batch students, they were Naveen and all were part of this project, Ananya, Naveen. So we went to this place, and it is from the people that we realized that government has marked all these rain trees, at least 10 of them, to be chopped off so that a 4-story building can come there. And this is right next to Kili River. You can see the river that is going there, and then you can see the land, and it's a major junction there. It is one of the green lungs of Trivandrum. It used to be an agricultural land, so it falls within the floodplain of Kili. And this is how it looks in the Google Earth image. Now, the problem here is that if these trees go away, we are talking about 48 species of birds. 10 of them are rare, 14 are migrants, 35 species of butterflies. Several other animals will not have a home, which has been a home for them for such a long time. So our job here was to create an alternate plan. What can happen other than just a building? And we had several rounds of discussions with the tree walk people. We had several rounds of discussions with the local residents who use this as an activity space. For children, it is a play area. For young adults, it's a place where they come and play. For nature enthusiasts, it's a beautiful space where they can find birds and butterflies and so on and so forth. So beyond just the land value that is associated with such plots, there is an ecological value. And we came in here more as activists who wanted to find an alternate plan for this site. So our first argument was, don't even build anything there. Architecture is important, but it's better not to build anything there. Rather, move that entire building, which is Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan's work, which is central government project, to some other spot in the nearby areas. We also tried to draw a plan where this could become a very important lung for the city and offer possibilities of developing butterfly gardens and a science park, because there were so many schools surrounding this area, a camping site for the students, and children used to play volleyball and badminton and all that. And probably that is also a possibility to integrate some of them and retain this as a sponge for the city and its flood water to be absorbed. So we created these, as all architects would do, we created these renders and plans and sections and great ideas. But so the point here is, it's not, the output is not just about the plan sections and all that. We wrote about it. We wrote academic papers about it. We wrote white paper on this issue and submitted it to the Chief Minister of Kerala. But unfortunately, while I was teaching sustainable architecture and planning for the 2017 batch, which is a lockdown period, we got a call saying that some of the trees are being felled down. So last time when I went to Trivandrum, some trees still remain, but some of them have been marked, quotation has been given, and they are moving with the project. So the point here is that it's not just about somebody coming and offering you a project to work with, and you sort of engage with that project, come up with plan sections and elevations. But here, what we believe is, we as architects have a responsibility to the city and the surroundings that we live in, and we can generate projects. We can initiate projects. We can advise people. We can be the activists to, involve in such social issues. It may not work we may not be successful, but yes, definitely we can make some small change the way we do. So commune to us is then a device for communicating with the world. we not only engage with humans, but we also engage with animals, birds, and several other beings. So the final, second conversation and the final one, I will not take much long, is with animals, birds, and others. So the story of Apuchi is very interesting. I won't go into it, but since Apuchi came into our life, we have been trying to understand canine behavior, and we have been part of several initiatives in Trivandrum to organize canine education to people and to reduce the conflict between humans and animals. We've also been part of Hands for Paws, which we co-founded with various canine activists, doctors, trainers, etc. And there was we were instrumental in bringing out an idea of dog lot, and I'll explain that a little later. So this engagement with animals also gave us idea to sort of pitch what is known as Save Animals Kerala during the Kerala floods, where we were able to organize several people from different walks of life to come together and start this movement to support people in Kutanad area to rescue their animals when the 2018 floods hit Kerala. And over a 2-week time, we were able to mobilize food, we were able to mobilize fodder, and also save some of these poor animals who were stuck in the floods. And we were able to rescue them and bring them back. And this also led to a series of engagement of the studio with architects who were talking about synanthropic architecture across species, work with activists on forest fire, and also generate this movement called Hands for Paws. So we were also people would also recognize that us sitting for some dharna somewhere. So people who have worked at commune knows that. But then it all came down to a very small project called Dog Park. So the idea was that there has been an increase in conflict, canine-human conflict in Kerala. And we thought something needs to be devised, but at the same time, the number of dog parents has increased substantially, especially during the lockdown. So this idea was again pitched to the corporation, and we had support of People for Animals, where we said that there's so many plots lying vacant in neighborhoods. They're all private properties. What if we could convert one parcel of land in every neighborhood into a dog lot? And this dog lot will not only cater to the breed dogs, but it should also cater to the street dogs. Their feeding of the street dogs could take place. Now, it was not that easy because we have very strict territories, but in our model, Kudumbashri was a very important stakeholder because they could be brought in to collect food waste and from the neighborhood and assemble it together and offer this to the street dogs, while the park and the cafe space and all could be used for human-animal engagement. And also there were so many puppies that we get every day. Even on our campus, we have so many puppies. So and every day, Hands for Paws would get calls asking, can you adopt the puppy or can you find a home for the puppy? So we thought, why not think of a space like a nursery for the puppies, abandoned puppies, or stray puppies. And this could then be taken care of by the Kudumbashri people, and people who come visit the park could also adopt these puppies. So we sort of worked on the architecture of it, and it was again pitched, but again, Corona took us on a very different track. So these are some of the conversations we have. Another final conversation I'll end with is Bee Organ. Some of you might be familiar, who have worked with this might be familiar. this is a important conversation that I thought I should present here because I remember having conversation with Faisal, Majid, and Michelle on several social service activities that they, and even Evelyn on certain social service activities that they wanted to be part of. So this again started off with understanding the city and the potential of the city, of how building materials could be used in construction. And we all know that money is an important factor in building, but can something replace money? And it all started with a conversation with Ambika Chechi, who is no more, but she used to cook for us. And she had started construction of a house and she did not have money to complete it. And she was also being taken for a ride by a contractor. So we thought, is there a possibility in which materials can be, money that she's struggling to get can be replaced by materials? So we didn't know how to start this. We only knew that there is a way, but the way was not very clear to us. So as we thought through this, we all know that if you go to any architectural studio, you will see a lot of samples and material samples that people come and show you and leave it there and for you to refer to and all that. So we thought, what if we use some of these? And it also resonated with the idea of organ donation, because we all donate, we have all pledged our organ. And if we die, or when we die, we know that some of our organs can give life to another dead person, another unwell person, right? So what if there are such organs of buildings, which are dead buildings, that can be offered to give life to another building? So this is the starting of the journey. So we started finding where buildings were being pulled down, where we went from office to office collecting samples after samples that we could salvage and use it here. There was somebody who, one of my very close friends, told me that he has sacks of beer bottles, a very good drinker, So he had sacks of bottles of beer bottles, which he offered to us. There was another friend who was also a contractor who had a lot of waste bricks. He said he will offer that. So there were so many people who sort of started pledging building organs for Ambika Chechi's house. Some of them said, I have a WC, if you want, you can take that. And so everything we sort of salvaged. Not a new idea, but it was, at that time, it was something that we wanted to do for her. We even found transportation services that were free of cost, so because they were ready to support. And over a period of time, we were able to collect and start doing it little by little. And even paint was used as a salvaged thing. And we mixed it up and found different colors and applied it uniformly. And it was an event in itself. So together with support from so many people around us and from the city of Trivandrum, we were able to build this house for Ambika Chechi. She lived here for almost a year, but unfortunately she fell ill and then she passed. So yeah, sorry. So yeah, I'm just closing it. So this was the structure that we developed called the B Organ, or Build an Online Repository of Building Organ Donation. There is a donor who can donate an organ. Commune is only a facilitator, and if there is somebody in need, they can also reach out and we can, transport them there. And many such buildings we were able to do in 3 to 4 years time. So this does not, I'm not saying that studio is only about all of these activities. We do a lot of architecture also, but I'm not getting into all of that because I thought this is about conversation, this is about ecology of the city and the agency that architects have to that city. So I just want to conclude with this, that at Commune, we believe in an act of co-authorship where everybody comes together to do something. And we try to uphold that spirit in whatever we do. We both are academics too. Apuchu is not, but he's very good at teaching people. So we continue to do that with experiment that with our studios in our institutions also. So thank you very much, everyone, for this opportunity. I don't know whether I have been able to do justice to any of these projects by explaining the way I have explained. But if you have any queries, any suggestions, or if you want to be part of Commune, you're most welcome. So thank you all who were, who are, and who will continue to be part of Commune. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Soumini, for putting this together and sharing these beautiful conversations with us. For this to make sense to me as a non-architect, I think that encapsulates the idea of what Studio Commune stands for. This could be an inspiration for our social service project as well as CamServe Code project initiated by Code Collector. Thank you for starting it out for us. And let's now take questions from the audience. You can either use the chat box or switch on the mic and ask the questions directly.
That's all right. I think they can also come and speak if they want.
Yeah, it might be a starting trouble. Faculty, students, anybody can. Please feel free.
I think faculty, some of them are aware of the work. Yeah. I think even for faculty, I think it's open. You can discuss whenever you have time.
Soumini, Regina here.
Hi.
Yes, I was watching it in my mobile, so I didn't go through much, but still then it was so impressive, and you have a great humanitarian aspect into. You have put in a lot of humanitarian aspect into architectural practice. That's what I understood. And as you were mentioning, it would be like a example for how we could go forth with our community development projects. Okay, so we would be talking about it maybe later in detail, and let the students comment on it because they would be the torch bearers, isn't it? So let them comment upon this. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you for the presentation. Wonderfully put together. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina. Thanks a lot. As I said, before one becomes an architect, one is always a human being, and I think that's very important. And I hope students can also, sort of come in. And as the whole idea of this presentation to sort of shed all those architectural work that we do was to, say that, we have a role to play in the city. It's a beautiful building. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Aditya. Okay, so I guess Jilna.
Yeah, I was going to ask
today.
them if they want to use the chat box in case they, are feeling shy to speak up.
That's fine. I also feel that many students might be in transition because they're going back to campus. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Let's continue
Yes,
this
thank you.
conversation.
Yes, I hope this will be the starting point for all our faculty members to sort of come together and start presenting the kind of work we do. And I think that's important as part of building an academic rigor in the institution. So once again, thank you, lecture series group, and also special thanks to Hannah and the council for initiating something like this. So thanks a lot. Have a very good weekend, everyone. Bye.